going to give you another reason why you need to give a middle finger to the Democrats. The DNC convention that's going to be taking place here. Yes, this is a Chicago story, but it's important because perception drives reality. For too long, liberals, you've put on this mask of, we care about women's rights and social issues and ending homelessness. Well, fantastic Mayor Brandon Johnson, the goof troop himself, ahead of the DNC, Brandon Johnson puts the homeless back on the streets to make room for tent city occupants. So he's putting people back on the streets and he's trying to make something else happen. But everything that this administration has done to prepare for the DNC convention, everything has gotten progressively worse. I think it's going to be one big clown show. Mayor Brandon Johnson, you are not suited to be mayor of Chicago. And I say that with absolute confidence. This entire convention is going to be one big clown show, and it will be entertaining. I've asked for this election cycle to be entertaining, and guess what? It has delivered. And I hope the Chicago convention will be just as entertaining. This won't be the most important convention of our lifetime. It'll be just the most entertaining because, folks, I am preparing for clown show activity. So let's go ahead and get started with this article here from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ahead of the DNC, Brandon Johnson puts the homeless on the street to make room for tent city occupants. Residents of a Magnificent Mile shelter are evicted to make room for occupants of a tent encampment that's being cleared ahead of the DNC National Convention. So for those you don't know, there are a lot of tent cities and communities all across the city of Chicago, underneath bridges and abandoned parks, all that kind of stuff. And so by the United Center, there's a fair share of, guess what? Tent encampments. But you cannot show that on national television because you want it all to look that shiny clean, right, Brandon Johnson? You want to make it look like everything is A-okay when it's not. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration is putting unhoused people back on the streets to make room for relocated tent encampment occupants who are being moved before the Democratic National Convention next month. More than half a dozen people told the Sun-Times that they were thrown out or fear they are about to be ejected from a shelter in a former hotel off the Magnificent Mile. Boy, oh boy, and that Magnificent Mile has seen better days. As city officials begin to clear a highly visible tent city abutting the Dan Ryan Expressway. Oh, that's right, because that's where you see a lot of them. A domestic violence survivor, a recovering alcoholic, and others with anxiety or chronic medical conditions were among those kicked out of the hotel in the last week, according to interviews. Several people said they were thrown out without first being allowed to gather medicine or belongings. One couple has been sleeping on the sidewalk across from the former Tremont Hotel at 100 East Chestnut, which has housed more than 100 individuals since November under a $6.5 million contract with the city. Democrats don't care. Liberals. Is this what you really want to do? So you're going to kick out people out of a homeless shelter and you're relocating a tent city encampment. Does anybody know what they're doing? So you're making more homeless people, kicking out homeless people. You're removing and displacing people, all to make your convention look shiny and safe and respectable. A new city program will use 60 of the former hotel's rooms as shelter for residents from several encampments, including the tent city sandwiched between the Dan Ryan Expressway and 1100 block of South Displacing Street. The Displacing encampment will be permanently fenced off Wednesday, according to Brandy Kaz, commissioner of the city's Department of Family and Support Services. Gee, maybe if housing was more affordable in the city, you wouldn't be having these problems. Maybe if we had health care in this city, we wouldn't be having so many unhoused people. But no. So the city was clearing the tent camp out of concern that the Secret Service, oh, such a respectable organization, the Secret Service could order such an evacuation for security reasons just before the convention. She has said that the program, housing dozens of Tremont residents, many since winter, ended this month. A spokesman for Kenez said that in an email that 63 residents at the Tremont were successfully moved to new housing. More than a dozen remain at the shelter as they arranged to move elsewhere, and others have left under various circumstances, including 10 who were discharged for policy violations. 14 residents declined offers to move to another shelter, the spokesman said, and self-resolved. Residents said that they were blindsided. On Tuesday, Barbara Stein and her husband, Daniel, said that they didn't know where they would sleep after Daniel was discharged from the Tremont over the weekend. One housing option would be thousands of dollars a month, Barbara Stein said. Other options, including putting the married couple of 18 years into separate shelters, she said. The couple has been living on the street, not far from the hotel, she said. Barbara Stein, 48, said the city contractor, Equitable Social Solutions, appears to be finding ways to quickly discharge people staying at the hotel. See, folks, the Democrats want to kick out the bad part. They don't want to show that there's homeless people in the city. Another couple discharged from Tremont last week has been sleeping on the sidewalk across the street. The woman, 40, who asked her name not to be used for fear of retaliation, said she was initially thrown out in pajamas and slippers without crucial belongings like her medicines or her purse. After she persisted, she said she heard a staffer with the city contractor say, "I am sick of this B word," asking for her medicine and her wallet. "I really don't know what I'm going to do next," said the woman, a domestic violence survivor, as her boyfriend lay in a sleeping bag next to her on a sidewalk on East Chestnut. What a shame. Several others who stayed at Tremont, known most recently as Selena Hotel, corroborated the woman's story. Alan Lacey, 62, said the woman appeared to be tricked into thinking she was going to place into another shelter and even showed up to a meeting with the city contractor staff in her pajamas before being discharged. Lacey said he was nearly thrown out on the street before he appealed because of multiple medical conditions, including a congestive heart failure. I said, "You're going to put me on the street, and I have a medical condition, and I'm 62 years old." He said, "I have the heart of an 80-year-old man." City records show that Equitable Social Solutions, has contracted with the DFSS since 2022 and has been paid $90 million over 12 deals. The Kentucky-based company, founded in 2021, has run some of Chicago's migrant shelters and opened the Tremont site in November. So you know what this means? The reason why the shelters are so bad in Chicago is because of this Kentucky-based company. The contractor did not return messages seeking comment. Well, color me shocked. Goodness gracious, Cretaceous. Several residents said that the sudden end of the Tremont program came as a surprise. An official at the city's Family and Support Services Department acknowledged in an email to staff that the process lacked clarity. Unfortunately, this led to confusion with our provider and has resulted in communication to residents has been bumpy, department official Mara McCauley wrote last week. A man, 40, tossed from his shelter July 10th, said he also was misled to leave his room with the promise that he would learn about a possible relocation to a north side shelter. When he met staff, according to his account of the story, he was told he would not return to his room and that he was being thrown out because he declined housing, which he said is not true. A recovering alcoholic who's been homeless for about a year, he's now staying temporarily with a friend. They discharged me in the most ridiculously conniving and rude way. It was cruel and unusual. Chicago police joined private security guards on site July 10th, emerging from the shelter as two men moved their belongings to the sidewalk. They told a Sun-Times reporter and photographer that the city was throwing them out and they had nowhere to go. Mayor Johnson, promised when he campaigned for mayor, which was a joke campaign, by the way, and no, I did not support Brandon Johnson, to fund more housing for the city's almost 19,000 homeless and backed a proposal to raise real estate transfer taxes on expensive property. The plan, a ballot initiative known as Bring Chicago Home, was rejected by voters in March, to which I have to say the plan was clownish, not well put together, and the campaign failed miserably to make its point to voters. Alderman Andre Vasquez supported the initiative and blasted what he saw as a double standard in clearing the encampment before the DNC. "I didn't think that we would go from Bring Chicago Home to hide Chicago's homeless, but here we are." Alderman, taking care of the homeless was never part of the plan for Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration. The Tremont situation highlights a need for more funding to address the problem of unhoused people. The Chicago Coalition for the Homeless said in a statement, "The need to move some people experiencing homelessness out so other people experiencing homelessness can move in is yet another sign that there's not adequate funding for shelter services and permanent housing in the city of Chicago," the group said. As of Monday, a dozen tents remained in the Displacing encampment. Amy Barner, 48, had been staying nearby a small camp at 16th and Union Streets when she was invited to the Tremont, but only for a short term. She said she was told she'd have to leave sometime next month. So in other words, as soon as those tent encampments are going to be moved, those people who are moving into Tremont Hotel are also going to be moved. There's no plan. Hey, liberals, tell me again why you care about people. Hey, liberals, what's the whole plan? Is it just to make the DNC look respectable for 4 days? Nothing you do is going to change anything. Perception drives reality. And you know what this tells me and my audience and anybody else that will be watching this clip? The liberals, the Democrats are clowns. You have no plan whatsoever. And as soon as the DNC convention kicks off, why is it that I think that there's going to be a crap ton of other failures that are going to expose you guys as the clowns that you are? Good luck, Democrats. You're going to need it. It's going to be a clownish behavior through and through. What Barney said, Democrats have never seen a homeless person. They haven't. They're too rich. So this is it. This is what the liberals can do. It is kicking poor people out, displacing poor people. There's no plan whatsoever to take care of the people. There is no plan. Heartland's media will be covering the DNC convention. We're going to be talking to a lot of the activists and organizers. So I've mentioned that we've interviewed a few people. There's a couple of protest groups, especially the Anti-War Coalition. There's other people who are protesting the fact that the Biden-Harris administration is doing nothing to protect a woman's right to choose. Don't believe the emails, okay? The Democrats are now going to have to deal with other people fighting for homelessness. So, geez, liberals, you got a lot of your great coalition is breaking apart. And to anyone that's a progressive, uncommitted voter, what more will it take for you guys to truly abandon the Democratic Party? This is a party that's run by elites. That's run by people who are associated with Wall Street, big banks, and corporations. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. And to anyone that thinks that, oh, they're going to show up at the DNC convention that you're special, know this. You only have 4 days to really make an impact in August, between the 19th and the 22nd. What kind of image or story are you going to share with people? You have nothing. You don't have a leg to stand on, Democrats. I'm going to watch and see and share with my audience during those 4 days how much of a buffoon or buffoons you all are. And my audience and my viewers, subscribers, they're going to share with their people. And their people are going to share with their people. And they're going to see through what Heartland's media and the rest of independent media is going to show the world. And that is the DNC convention is a waste of time. There's no consistency. And this will also highlight the failures, once again, of Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration. You know, I said that Lori Lightfoot was going to be a one-term mayor. Controversial statement in a 3, 2, 1. Brandon Johnson is also going to be a one-term mayor. It's one big clown show. And Brandon Johnson, I guess you're the ringmaster. This is going to be very entertaining. And Heartland's video will be reporting it when the DNC convention takes place between the 19th and 22nd of August. Stay tuned.